You're watching Fugitive Red-Eye, and welcome to another anime review. In my previous video, I reviewed the original 1973 version of Cutey Honey, and today I'm reviewing the sequel to it, New Cutey Honey, which was made in the 90s. New Cutey Honey takes place 100 years after the original series. There will be a few spoilers ahead, but I'll try not to do anything too major, but you have been warned nonetheless. So even though this is set 100 years after the original series, it still has some recurring characters from the original series besides Honey herself. For instance, Dombey himself, the father of the Hayami family, is now a cyborg. And there's a couple of different descendants of the Alphon family you can see throughout this. One of them is a reporter and looks more like the female Alphon from Cutey Honey, and another one is a guy that's always seen driving a car, who looks more like the male Alphon from Devilman, but with glasses. And as I said, it takes place 100 years after the original, and in the first episode, Honey has had her memory erased of the previous series, and she's currently working as a secretary for the mayor. It takes place in a city that is overrun with crime, and because of this, some of the criminals eventually go after the mayor, and Honey, because she's with the mayor. And Dombey finds out that Honey is the mayor's secretary, so he goes over and reminds her of who she is, and gets her to remember who she is and transform back into Cutey Honey. At this point, she begins fighting the criminals, and although the first 4 episodes tell more of a singular story, it does still kind of have some Monster of the Week elements to it, even though it is one singular story. The last 4 episodes are completely Monster of the Week based, kind of like the original series, although they do still have an inherent continuity, as did the original series, but it's more blatant about it. And speaking of things being more blatant, I briefly mentioned in the previous review that Devilman and Cutey Honey were in the same universe, as well as a few other Go Nagai works, and all of the connections are very subtle in the original series, if any, but in this series it's a lot more straightforward to it. In the episode before last, Akira Fudo is a primary character in that episode. He never transforms into Devilman, but his name is Akira, he looks like Akira, he makes a lot of references to devils, and if that wasn't enough, the second intro to this series, it shows Akira fighting Siren, although Siren herself doesn't appear in the actual show, she's just in the intro. But that's not the only universe that this blatantly ties itself back to. Throughout the early episodes of the series, I noticed that all of Dombey's attacks were references to Mazinger and Grendizer, like he does Rocket Punch and things like that. And in the final episode, it's actually revealed that Professor Kabuto is actually the one who gave him his cyborg parts. And Professor Kabuto is a main character in the final episode. Now, this series only got 8 episodes. It was originally going to get 13, but was cancelled. And with it being cancelled, unfortunately, there is no satisfying conclusion. And I'm willing to guess that none of the other Cutey Honeys tie back to this one. I'm not 100% sure on that. I still haven't seen any of the other versions besides this and the original. I also haven't read any of the mangas yet. Hopefully, some of the others do tie back to it. If not, hopefully Cutey Honey Universe, the new one, will. Because I would like to see the conclusion of this version of the story. And since you didn't get it in the 70s series, and you didn't get it in this one, I guess Panther Zora never will be defeated. At least not this version of Panther Zora. I'm sure she's defeated in one of the other versions. There's been multiple versions of this series. But yeah, those are the spoilers I was warning you about earlier. I mean, I guess in a way they are major spoilers, but at the same time, I suppose it does also kind of spoil the original series because she never defeats Panther Zora in the original series either. It ends after she fights Sister Jill. And Panther Zora is a recurring character in New Cutey Honey as well, although she looks entirely different than she did in the original series. I do plan on watching Re-Cutey Honey, which is the plot of the movie version adapted into an OVA. Might watch the movie itself as well, although I've heard the movie itself is terrible and Re-Cutey Honey is a much better version of it. I don't know that I'll watch Cutey Honey Flash because I know that's a shoujo series, so I'm willing to bet it's nowhere near as cool. Let me know if you think I should watch that one. Flash doesn't really interest me that much. It looks more like it's on the lines of, say, Sailor Moon, which again I haven't seen either, but still. I prefer the more action-oriented version of Cutey Honey that these two have given me, and I've enjoyed every moment of them. My only real criticism, of course, is that it doesn't have a proper ending, and it's way too short. It's only 8 episodes for this one, 25 for the original, which was pretty reasonable. Would have been nice if it got the other 5 that were supposed to be made. Maybe we would have got a satisfying conclusion then. It also would have been cool if Akira would have turned into Devilman, but having him in it and kicking ass anyway was still badass. The sad thing to think about, though, is since this takes place 100 years later, I guess that would mean that Junpei and Seiji both died of old age, and only Dombey and his grandson and great-grandson are still alive. His great-grandson only refers to him as Grandpa, but the kid's father never refers to Dombey as Dad, and also, Dombey only had 2 sons in the original series, Seiji and Junpei, so I'm willing to bet that the dad of Choke, which is his grandson, is the son of either Junpei or Seiji. It never specifies which. And then Chokei is the grandson of either Junpei or Seiji. It is cool that the Hayami family is still in it, especially Dampei. He was my favorite member of the Hayami family, so I'm glad he's the one that they decided to carry over. And I liked the ties to Mazinger Z as well. I didn't see those ones coming as blatantly. I had already had the Devilman thing spoiled, so I knew they were in it. But I didn't know that Professor Kabuto would be in it, so that was a nice surprise as well. Compared to the original series was a lot more colorful and fun, but this one was a lot more serious and dark, and I liked this one a little bit better just because I liked how more plot-centric it was, and I liked the character development was a little bit better in this one. Also, unlike the original series, which virtually had no nudity, and I say virtually because it kind of had it a couple of times, but unlike the original series, this one has a ton of nudity. Every time Honey transforms, nudity. Most of the villains, you see their breasts, and there's a lot of it. I mean, that's to be expected because it's Cutey Honey, and as far as I know, the manga has a lot of that too. This also has a lot of lesbian undertones, which as I understand are in the manga as well. But yeah, it's really great. I loved it. It was a great follow-up to the original, and in my opinion, surpassed it. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you thought of New Cutey Honey and what you thought of my review of it. What do you think I should review next? Should I watch Cutey Honey Flash, or should I skip it and just watch the other ones? Anyway, this has been Fugitive Red Eye, and you have a great day.